Hey everybody, welcome to Alpha Flight Monday and Alpha Flight number 44. We're getting into the end game here of Alpha Flight Monday and of the original Alpha Flight team, because over the next few issues, as we run out to the end of this year, we're going to have the introduction of what you might call the new Alpha Flight. So really in the end game position here. So this is from March of 1987, at least in terms of the cover date. Stan Lee presents Plague. Alpha Flight, heed our call. Help me, help our son. It's Snowbird and Shaman, or some astral projection of them, arising out of our Sarsi sorcerer's medicine pouch. Wouldn't it be nice if just once we could return to Mansion Alpha to find nothing more interesting awaiting us than the mail? So this one is by Bill Mantlo, pencils by David Ross, inks by Whilce Portacio, letters by, is that Jeff Novak? Wow, they got that. Oh, Jim Novak, I'm sorry. I'm telling you what, I got some old eyes here. They need to use some bigger letters. Bob Sharon doing the colors, Carl Potts, editor, Jim Shooter, editor-in-chief. Now, if you have been watching the last few of these, you'll know they seem, while they're going through this transition, to, from what I can see, they seem to be moving too fast, and they're cutting some corners. And there does seem to be some continuity issues from issue to issue. Because at one point, Snowbird had sort of taken an attitude of, you know, I've lost my place with the gods because I married a mortal. And her husband is like, well, I'm going to go find our son, because the body of their son had been essentially possessed by a creature calling himself Pestilence. I'm not going to go through that entire story. But then, like an issue ago, oh, well, those two are off looking for her son. Okay, well, I didn't think that was what she was. Okay, so they're... But that's all we knew. We didn't see them. We didn't even see a panel of them. They just were. And now we're getting this from them, arising from his medicine pouch, which I didn't even think was active anymore once he became Talisman. So that's kind of interesting too. It feels like they're rushing a little bit to get this transition finalized, and that's not going to be to the benefit of these characters, especially if you've grown to like these poor these poor characters who have gone through so very, very much. So they get this image telling them, you guys need to help us, hasten to the burial Butte. This is apparently where they have found Pestilence. So Alpha Flight, preps to go, and Kara, the purple girl, who is now part of Beta Flight, wants to go with them. And Jeffries, who's kind of become her, surrogate father, is like, no, you're not going to do that. North Star still has this cough, which that's been going on for a couple issues here. And we'll probably find out a little bit. And, Puck is saying something about, hey, take care of that cold, or that, or you're going to end up, dead in your graves. Why didn't you have Scramble cure you as he did me? Why don't you mind your business, Puck? So there's something going on there, and yeah, that's going to be playing into the next few issues. And we hear from Heather, for all their bickering, they sound more like a family than ever. I've managed to unify them as my late husband, Mac, never did. I don't really know that that's true. Maybe I'm a better leader than I know. I'm not sure that's true either. I was a big fan of the Heather Hudson character. In the earlier comics, Her role as Vindicator, sometimes good, sometimes not so good. And again, there's some inconsistencies here. So they finally settle things, and they take off in the the Omnijet. And at that point, crawling out of the medicine pouch is Alec Thorne, a.k.a. Smart Alec. Now, in an earlier issue, when Omega Flight had fought Alpha Flight, he had been shrunk down and put inside the pouch to prevent it from causing trouble because he had looked in the pouch and had gone completely insane. So Shaman put him in there to basically keep him safe because he's like, well, I mean, he has no mind left. There's nothing I can do for that. So now he's crawled out. So what's going to happen with that? We'll find out. Meanwhile, at the New Life Clinic, now that's run by Madison Jeffries' brother, who was called Scramble, who has the ability to transmute flesh and bone the way that Madison Jeffries can transmute metal. And so he's doing some work on Box. And he had been suffering from the bends from when Alpha Flight was involved with the Submariner in Atlantis. And so they're going to use him to heal Roger Box, who has to unphase from the armor, as you can see here. And then he kind of puts, lays hands on him to bring him out of that particular medical emergency. Now, Box's problem is that Aurora has been showing him a lot of attention, and you can see that Roger Box does not have legs. He's also kind of a chunky guy, and he knows that he's going to probably lose her because of all this, because the Aurora personality can be a bit on the kind of flaky side. And so Scramble says, well, hey, why worry about that when I can make you whole? Okay, now that's going a little further than healing. And now he had some, real issues with, he went crazy and he was very dangerous and supposedly had been cured, but maybe not. So the Wind Spirits are leading Alpha Flight to Burial Butte to have a final confrontation. Punk Storm, so cool. A final confrontation with Pestilence, and you could see they get through this town and they see dead bodies, even dead rats everywhere. And so they kind of figure, well, it looks like Pestilence has been through here for sure. And inside this building, they find Snowbird's husband, Doug. And he has obviously also been struck by Pestilence. He's on death's door. He fills them in on where he had found him in this cave, and that, it's kind of too late for him. And he just wants, save my son, save, especially him, but Snowbird as well, from Pestilence. And he passes away. He had been a little bit of a jerk, but still, sad to see something like that happened. And again, one more tie to Alpha's past is expiring. So Alpha goes to that cave, and it's very dark, and obviously Aurora does not like the dark. It brings out her other personality, basically the non-Aurora personality, Jean-Marie. So she lights up. The Wind Spirits leave, and so they're heading in. And Puck notices Shaman's Wind Spirits are swirling away as if their master no longer lived to command them. So they're trying to build up a little bit of tension. What are they going to find? Are Snowbird and Shaman dead? We'll find out. So they decided to go. They're going to split up. Oh, you know what? Any D&D player could tell you, never split the party. But they're going to split up to try to find them in here. And Jeffrey says, I've got a hunch Pestilence is going to locate us. And you can see there's some claws. Yeah, there's something there in the dark, some kind of monster. And so Madison Jeffries is right. Something does find him, gives him a good smack, and Puck hears the cry of pain echoing through the caves. Can't tell from where, but it sets off, vibrations in the cave, and there's a cave in, and it doesn't, looks like Puck is maybe at least partially buried. Aurora is noticing that North Star is lagging behind. He has this cough. He has this wound that he got 1 or 2 issues ago, I think maybe last issue, that's not healing, and he doesn't know what's wrong with him. And she's saying, why didn't you ask Scramble to examine you? Now, they actually weren't calling him Scramble. And, they were using his actual name, because Scramble was kind of the name of him when he was hurting people. Little oversight there. And all of a sudden, you got all of these rats. And so North Star whirls them away, but he starts coughing, help me, my sister. I will, but if you touch me now, you will cancel our powers, robbing me of my light and plunging us both into darkness. Which is exactly what happens. And once she's in the dark, she starts reverting back to her Jean-Marie personality. It went through some really, really bad stuff. So one by one, Alpha is being taken out. And then Heather sees her dead husband, Mac. And no, you're not Mac. Guardian's dead. I saw my husband die, and I've gotten over the guilt that it was I who killed him. You're just an illusion. Pestilence has dredged from the doubts in my mind. So she, lets this illusion have it. And then it takes the form of Wolverine. You're learning fast, babe, without my help. But slagging your own old man, maybe you're turning into a killing machine like Wolverine. And that is some foreshadowing for sure. And so she takes that out, and then Puck appears, killing Mac and then Wolverine. Mac's dead. Logan was an illusion. Maybe Pestilence can raise the dead. And if Logan really is the killing machine he claims to be, then maybe Pestilence could control him and bring him here. He was no more real than you. And then takes Madison Jeffries. Now, Jeffries, she's been kind of sweet on him. And so, again, Pestilence is creating these illusions to mess with her mind. And she then discovers, she blasts them, but then discovers that the illusion was used to get her to aim at Puck, who I guess had gotten out of that cave-in, or, maybe it wasn't really trapped after all. And so, she gives him mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, and he kind of wakes up. So you can love a dwarf. You were shamming? Hardly. Yogic breathing control comes in handy when buried alive, eh? But you didn't answer my question. Pestilence just tried to use me to kill you, Puck. Questions about our feelings for each other will have to wait till we find out what he's doing to our fellow Alphans. What he's doing is beating him. Pretty handily, too. So it almost sounds, I guess, like she actually unburied him, maybe with that blast, and he had just gone into that, using the yogic breathing exercises to slow himself down, so there was time to find him. So away from North Star, Aurora's powers return. She lights back up, and now she sees an armored knight, so to speak, fighting these creatures. Well, that's actually Madison Jeffries, who transmutated the metals in the mines into this armor. And he has sort of these 2 slashing blades that he's using. He probably should have made swords. They would have probably worked better. And these are cold creatures, because Pestilence controls the forces of death and decay. Coal is composed out of the compressed remains of long-dead organic matter, like trees and dinosaurs. Mostly trees, to be honest with you. So these weird cold creatures attack him. He forms the armor. He fights back. Okay. Finally, North Star manages to come upon Shaman and Snowbird. Remember, she's now taking the white Sasquatch form in battle. And Pestilence. You are wise, Talisman, to have summoned your teammates. Keeping them from joining the fight has diverted my power. And of course, that is Pestilence saying that. So that the great beast under your control has nearly destroyed my corporeal self. Shaman, stop, Snowbird. The body she's rending belongs to her son, to her son, shaped by the evil of Pestilence's soul. Better that one child should perish than Pestilence be allowed to corrupt a world. And so you remember now, Shaman has taken on the powers of the Talisman, and in so doing, he has lost his emotions. So if it sounds like he's kind of being a little bit cold here, indeed he is being cold. Has your transcendence to Talisman caused you to become so removed from humanity that you can make that choice, Shaman? And at that point, Sasquatch whacks North Star, knocks him down right by Pestilence, who embraces him. By merely feeding on the decay I sensed within you to make myself stronger. What do you mean, decay within me? So North Star apparently has some kind of disease that is killing him. This is not just a cold, and you can kind of figure that. It was taking a pretty long time for it to go away. And so he's, yes, you are dying, speedster. Haven't you sensed it? And my kiss has accelerated the slow disease spreading like a cancer through your cells. Thank you, North Star. Your death has given me new life. Pretty gnarly stuff. You won't savor it for long, Pestilence. So Alpha has finally arrived. And Talisman, Shaman, says, you do not know what you do, Vindicator. Yes, I do, Shaman. We'll destroy Pestilence without sacrificing any of our own. Pestilence is too powerful. To defeat him, you must destroy his host body. Maybe distancing yourself from humanity has blinded you to a more human solution. Join Alpha in finding one, Shaman, or step aside. I cannot go against my judgment. Therefore, I release Snowbird. Shaman, what? Do as you will, Alpha. As we must. Okay, so Shaman forms back into her normal shape, and Alpha Flight attacks. And given the fact that you have somebody who can shoot plasma blasts, probably wanted to keep those two back and let her do that. He grabs Aurora, makes her incredibly old. Unless we defeat Pestilence, she'll soon die of old age. He also takes a good whack at Puck. She starts blasting away, and then we see the sort of child within him. Okay. Mommy, don't hurt me anymore. My son. Help me save him, Snowbird. But the child binds me to humanity, even as my husband did. If he should die, I would be free to join the gods in paradise. So now once again, well, okay, she's desperate to find her son, but now, well, if he dies, I could go to paradise. This inconsistency is not helping the comic book at this time. It makes more sense to give people some solid motives that they stick with, and so you can then play with it and challenge them with those motives. So, but her heart sort of melts for him, and she grabs him. How could I have ever thought to disown this flesh of my own flesh? The child's needs are genuine, and Pestilence recognizes the danger of too long remaining in a vessel filled with such longing for life. The child nearly corrupted me as I have sought to corrupt it, and I sense that I can control the mother as well by forcing her to become Sasquatch, once again, one of the great beasts who were embodiments of death on this planet when it was first commencing to come alive. So basically, he now takes control of her, forms her into that great beast mode, which has turned out to be a real problem over the over the issues. And so now they have to take on the Sasquatch. And Puck gets knocked away. Keep reminding me of my powerlessness, and I may come to believe. Now, this has been a thing they've done with Puck, and they're going to keep doing it. Him feeling like, well, I'm powerless, so that makes me useless in Alpha Flight. Now, look. Puck doesn't have superpowers in that regard. Neither does Daredevil. He does have the super radar sense, but other than that, he's just a very amazing fighter. And there's quite a few characters like that in Marvel. In DC, we got Batman. Of course, Batman has the help of really strong sails, which make him more invulnerable than Superman. But still, the idea that Puck, who has been fighting alongside with Alpha all this time, is suddenly useless without powers, I feel like they're reaching on that one. I think they should have just stuck with him dealing with the demon that was within him and dealing with his feelings for Heather. I'm a big fan of Puck, and I'll be honest, I'm not thrilled with the way he's being handled here. Okay, so at this point, it's looking bad. And so Vindicator's now left basically alone because Shaman's just sitting back there with his thumb up his butt, doing nothing. And she says, as long as he possesses the body of Snowbird's child, there's a chance the infant's purity of soul will corrupt him. So all we've got to do is let Pestilence live so that the child can take over. But to do that, I may have to destroy Snowbird. Shaman, help me. Now, this is kind of interesting. Let's go back a page. Because the point where he's talking about being nearly corrupted by the child, those are in thought bubbles. So then the question is, how the heck does Vindicator know that to even be a possibility? Doesn't seem like she would. So she calls out to Shaman to help her. If you could wrest control of Snowbird, Sasquatch, away from Pestilence, having been proven wrong once, was he proven wrong once? I cannot predict with any accuracy the consequences of such a course of action, and therefore I dare not act. I am sorry. What? He's not going to do anything because he's not positive it will work. But he wasn't necessarily proven wrong when he said that we might have to kill Pestilence, in order to stop him from corrupting the world. So it's kind of odd. And so Sasquatch basically kills Pestilence. And then Heather kills Sasquatch. And Pestilence's spirit is now free from the child. Did she have to kill Sasquatch? Could she not have stunned him? Or her, I should say. Okay. Hours later, back on Tamarind Island. Easy. Why? They can't feel anything now. You're back, but what? Oh. And so they've brought back the bodies of their fallen, of Snowbird and her child. And this is something Kara hasn't really had to deal with. And Heather is sad because she had to kill Sasquatch, Snowbird. But I'm not convinced that's the case. And to me, that's the problem. As we go into this transition, they've kind of decided to take, well, look, Alpha's been, like I said, kind of the redheaded stepchildren of Marvel for a long time. And even John Byrne was not that gentle with them. Their leader was dead by issue 12. And it seems like they're kind of continuing that here rather than more gently moving them on, as characters. And so I'm not thrilled with this episode, with this issue. I think other choices could have been made. And it does seem like they're rushing it a little bit and trying to create drama when they already had drama to deal with. I don't know. There's some issues. I don't really care for this. What can you do? Next issue is Resurrection, but we also notice that the miniature Smart Alec is staring down at Heather while she cries. Okay. So these are some rough issues that we're heading into if you're a fan of the original Alpha Flight. Now, some people are going to love it, and some people aren't going to love it. I'm, mostly in a position of not really digging what they're doing. I think there were other ways to do it. It really reminds me of the final issues of the original Justice League comic, which were pretty harsh, and a little bit also of the Defenders when they moved to the New Defenders. Going for more adult storytelling, but I think in some ways maybe leaning a little bit too hard into it and with some inconsistencies. But let me know what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, share with a friend. Until next time, God bless everybody. Please be kind to one another. Have a little bit of fun, and I will see you again, hopefully soon, in Dad's Den of Pop Culture. Bye-bye.